Welcome back to 420 FM Scoops and the Cod. I wanna love ya. Damn, that's good shit. This is Digibros.
Wait, who are you?
I don't know anymore. Ah! There's a yak!
Whoa!
That's not a yak, that's a deer.
That's a deer, dude. I was gonna say, a yak does
He
not
was
look
coming
like
right for me. Look, there's a lot of bees around here.
Yak.
Can I burn the bees? Get fucked!
Oh! Fuck!
Oh shit! Now that I got this magic wand, it's the perfect way to get the honey from the bees, because they burn to death! Yes!
Burn them!
I'm the best at this game!
Hey, Victor,
Whoa.
fucking bees are endangered. What the fuck's wrong with you?
I wanna sting ya! I wanna poke and sting you right.
What?
Couldn't think of a better word than poke for stinging.
Yeah.
That's Bob Marley. Anyways.
Fuck,
man.
Stab? Because then
Shit.
you're doing alliteration.
I wanna stab you!
I don't know why that's so funny.
I wanna stab your fucking ass!
Stop.
you giggling all cutely, making all of our fans uncomfortable with how gay we are.
Victor.
They're all like, oh, Hope's so cute, I wish I had a QT girlfriendo.
They've already watched hundreds of hours of us being gay.
That's
so
true.
It's nothing new.
Whoever's still watching Vic and Hope is broken as a person.
They fucking know what's up.
Yeah. Anyways, we watched a pretty fucking interesting documentary.
Yeah.
Not about autism. Not about autism
at all.
Actually.
Well, maybe.
Not autism. Definitely not autism.
Oh, okay.
But something else. Something vastly
not
different.
autism, but insanity.
Yes, insanity to a great extent. We watched a documentary about Jim Carrey playing his role as Andy Kaufman in some fucking movie about Andy Kaufman from the 90s. Never seen
Excellent.
it. Doesn't matter. You don't need to have seen that movie at all. It's
the
not
movie
about that movie. It's about Jim
somewhat
Carrey
irrelevant.
being completely fucking insane and also
tragic.
a genius. Yes, a tragic fucking genius. And like, God, he blows my mind. Explain the plot of this documentary. What does Jim Carrey do?
Essentially, the way this documentary came about is while they were filming this movie, they were shooting all sorts of behind-the-scenes shit, and Jim Carrey didn't want it released when the movie actually came out, and so now, like 20 years later, he finally was okay with having this footage released, and they interviewed him on top of the old footage. And essentially, what it is you get to see Jim Carrey's way of getting in the head of the character and
His
how he
method
portrays
acting,
this.
yeah.
Yeah, it's very much method acting, a la Nick Cage, but with a purpose.
Far, far greater than Nick Cage.
Yeah. But essentially what it is he, whenever he's on set, even between takes, he does not stop being the character. So when he's Andy Kaufman, he is Andy Kaufman during the scenes, and also between the scenes, and when he is in the trailer getting his makeup done.
And it's not just on set, it's when they pick him up in the morning.
Yeah,
they pick him up from the hotel and he is
with
already
him. He is
the
Andy
character.
Kaufman.
Yeah.
Or Tony Clifton.
Tony Clifton, who is a character that Andy Kaufman would play, but Andy Kaufman would play him as if he were not him.
Right.
So then Jim Carrey plays them as if they are not
Two
the same
different
person.
people.
Yes, and neither of them are Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey is gone in the equation.
Yeah.
He does not exist.
He is literally not there.
He becomes these characters, and he does not exist as a person, except for he peeks out of them in disturbing little ways. Through
where
self-deprecation.
they will talk about Jim Carrey, like Tony Clifton and Andy Kaufman will talk about Jim Carrey and how they'll say things like how Jim Carrey, he's a coward. He just wants people to like him.
Yes.
And things like that where you're like, oh.
Yeah. Like, his personal insecurities come out in the characters talking about him, which is just fucking extremely interesting.
There's a bit where they're talking to Jim Carrey, and he's in character, like, doing a bit, making jokey jokes. And then, as soon as the jokey joke stops, you can see his eyes just hollow out, and he is just empty, and you're like, whoa!
He does that all the time. Like, you can tell that there is just a lot going on inside of him that is dark.
There's so much turmoil going on in there.
He turns inside and just, like, loses... But raises some extremely interesting questions about identity.
He's left his identity behind to create this, like, this fucking god of comedy. That's all he is. He's hollowed himself out
to be different people and different characters.
Yes, to be impressions of other things, essentially. Yes. Like Ace Ventura and Andy Kaufman and all these characters. Or like when he was in Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, things like that. Like, he essentially destroyed his own personality to do this.
Yeah. It's insane. And I would fucking highly, highly, highly recommend watching it, because it's super cool and super interesting and very entertaining, and Jim Carrey being fucking batshit insane the entire time.
Insane.
Like, it's a lot of fun. Like, he gives people so much fucking trouble, and like, now the way he talks about it is as if it were a different person, and he takes no personal responsibility.
Yeah.
Like,
you're like, oh, that wasn't me.
He really treats it as though those characters were possessing his body, and he had no control over them as people. See, this is a moment I was talking about in the game with the Yiga clan stuff, where like you meet this girl and she explains the Yiga clan, and then like she turns into a ninja and attacks you. So if you have already been to Kakariko Village and done that whole quest line, and then you were introduced to the Yiga clan as a concept, then seeing them around like this gives them a real sense of presence in the world, and like, oh my god, like these are guys who are around who are out to get me this entire time. And they were made aware of you through your presence in Kakariko Village because they had a spy there. And, like, that makes sense, that they would be on the hunt for you throughout the entire game. You lose all of that context if you didn't do all the quests in Kakariko Village at the beginning of the game, you know?
Yeah.
So, like, from a plot progression standpoint with this game, you're really missing out if you didn't do that. Just throwing it in there. Getting back to Jim Carrey.
Anyway, Jim Carrey.
Because sort of the way this movie climaxes is like, just he gets so into it, and then like the end of the movie is that Andy Kaufman dies because he dies in real life from lung cancer, and so like to Jim Carrey, who had been in it the entire time, it's like he is actually dying, and like people treat it as if he, the character, has died. And then, like, he comes back as the other character, and they do, like, a whole memorial for him and everything. Like, he, as that character, dies. And then it's, like, afterwards, he had spent so long shooting that movie and being that character that when he gets out of it, and he's, like, winning Oscars for the performance and stuff, but, like, he became so detached from himself and, like, so... He forgot what it's like to be himself as just a normal person in everyday life, and so he gets like ridiculously depressed for years after that. Like, it ruins him as like psychologically that he was this character for so long, and it was like this. He enjoyed being that character more than he enjoyed being himself, because it was like the attitude he had as the character was super liberating, and like he. Like, kind of the idea of it was that he didn't really give a fuck about anything or what people thought of him.
Yeah.
So that when he goes back to being himself, all he can think about is what people think of him and who
could
he
escape
is. Yeah.
His need to seek approval.
Yeah, and he doesn't know who he is anymore. And so it just, like, crushes him. And, like, it's reflected in his future roles in the movies he chooses to be in. Like, The Truman Show, he very much is like... he did that role because he felt like that's what
that
his
was
life
his life at that point,
and that's
yeah.
how he perceived his life, was that he was this figure, especially because this is a guy who became a millionaire very young, you know.
Yeah, he was
and
like,
around
what,
the same
30?
time, like his dad died, who like was his entire inspiration for
Yeah,
what he did.
they
you know?
they have a bit where they talk about the fact that he wrote himself a $10 million check when he
Yeah.
did not have the resources to know that it was going to come to fruition. And then within the next year, he had said like if he didn't make that $10 million in the next year, he was gonna like give up on acting, something like
Yeah.
that, right? And so he, of course, after that landed like The Mask and Dumb and Dumber and Ace Ventura, and so he did make that $10 million.
He said he was literally given a check for $10 million from the studio.
Exactly. And then what happens is his dad ends up dying, and he fucking puts the $10 million check in his dad's hand and buries it with his dad.
Yeah, he buried it in his pocket.
Or I thought,
But yeah, but that's
whatever.
some pretty
He
powerful
buries
shit.
it. He doesn't
Yeah.
like cash it. He
Because at that
buries
point,
it with
you know,
his dad.
he's already a millionaire, and it was never about money for him. It was always about the art and living your dream. Because the story with his dad is that his dad was a musician, and he gave up being a musician to do some fucking normal ass job.
Because
And
he
then, like,
had a family to support.
And his dad was always depressed about not being a musician. And so Jim Carrey lived his entire life saying, you know, I'm going to do what I'm passionate about and not compromise like my dad did. And he always grew up with that pressure of wanting to, you know, not giving up in what he was doing and aspiring to be the thing that he dreamed of being. And so, like, it's insane. But then that, like, as an adult and fulfilling that, his personality just fucking crumbled. It's ridiculous. I can't explain it well enough. Like, everyone, you really gotta go watch this and be fascinated with me. But, like, dude loses his fucking mind.
Yeah,
But, he has some really interesting things to say about, like, identity. Because he very much, at this point in his life, he doesn't have his own identity. Like, he doesn't think of himself as, like, a concrete thing with an identity.
Yeah.
He doesn't prescribe to any beliefs. He's very much a nihilist. Like, he very much just thinks, you know, we're all just floating in the void, like, waiting for death, you know? And, like, nothing means anything. Nothing actually matters. And that's sort of the conclusion he's come to from years of fucking losing his goddamn mind and all of his identity through acting. And, like, never really... He like directly says, you know, he came to this point where he had all the money in the world, had everything anyone ever wanted, you know, he had accomplished his life dreams in his 20s and then was still unhappy and had nothing, you know? So, like, it just took this fucking mental toll on him, and now he's this absolute nihilist. God.
Just lost his shit, man.
It's awesome. It's beautiful. I love it. Jesus. I had another thing, and then I forgot it because I was ranting about the other things. Shit.
Because you had been thinking about,
I'm not tying it into another thing. I just had another thing to say about Jim Carrey.
Oh, you were thinking about it.
Yeah. Fuck.
Because
Trying
you
to
were having
figure it
thoughts
out
that
along the
night
lines.
when you were trying to go to sleep.
Nihilism. Oh, yeah, but it was, I mean, in terms of how it relates to myself, it's very interesting, because, like, when it comes to my position of not having any pride and not having any, sort of pretensions about myself in that way, like, I share his philosophy of, like, you know, who am I to feel any sort of way about anything, you know? Like, what in the end actually matters? The way the world sees me doesn't matter at the end of the day. And to me, like, your sense of pride and your sense of, sort of personal justice and stuff is all just a matter of, like, wanting to look a certain way to the rest of the world, you know? Wanting to hold yourself to a standard that has no actual grounds in reality beyond, like, what it means in your head. So my relinquishing of pride and sort of self-control is that acceptance of, like, ultimate fucking nihilism in a very Jim Carrey sense, now that I'm realizing. I'm not explaining it in a good way yet again, but you understand what I'm getting at, right?
I think in some sense, the pride can be tied to, you know, the way you want to project yourself and the
Yeah.
perception of people outside, and what you want them to see of you. But pride can also have nothing to do with the way people perceive you. It can be something that's entirely for yourself.
But it's also, but there's the issue of self-identity. People want to feel like they have certain beliefs, you know? They want to hold themselves to a certain standard that is part of their identity. Like, self-identity
Are you saying how you have to frame that through other people?
No, I'm not saying without involving other people at all.
Okay.
Pride is rooted in your personal identity.
Yeah.
Like, you have pride. Like, taking other people out of the equation. I phrased it wrong by involving other people. But it's like, the way pride is relating to your personal identity is that you want to have these certain standards about yourself. And you don't feel like yourself unless you meet those standards, right?
Yeah.
And that's sort of where pride comes from.
Yeah.
And so I try not to have a personal identity in that regard, you know? There's no I consider myself fluid and I can fit into different molds and I can change actively. Yeah, because there's no concrete definition of who I am to me, you know? There is what matters to me, in which, like, that's reaffirmed through watching someone like Jim Carrey, where he's almost like, from the way he puts it, it's almost like nothing matters to him at all. He doesn't believe in anything. Nothing matters to him. So he has no identity. He's just this, like, all that he really seems to care about is performance in creating the perfect art. Like, he wants to put his art into the world for people to enjoy and perceive in their own way. And all he is a conduit to create that, you know? Like, his only purpose in existing is to do that, and it's at his own cost. And so, to me, it's like, my identity is not defined by anything besides, like, caring about you, for instance, you know? At the end of the day, like, nothing else matters. And the only actions I can take that do matter are in relation to what will help us.
Yeah.
So, like,
it's defining yourself based on what is important to you rather than principles.
Yeah. I guess. I'm not putting it in a good way. I had better thoughts on it before. But I hope that I'm at least phrasing it in a way that's somewhere close to a way that makes sense.
I think so.
I think you're getting it, yeah. So it's like, what ultimately matters, and I think, you know, a lot of people's relationship problems and stuff come from that sense of pride and that sense of, like, self-management where, you know, oh, I'm not gonna do this because she should do it, and, you know, that's your pride getting in the way of, like what I was explaining with the fucking doing the dishes thing, where it's like, I'm not gonna do the dishes because you should be doing the dishes right now. And, like, it's a sense of stubbornness, you know?
Yeah.
Like, you're holding a principle that's getting in the way of happiness. Like, ultimately, if you didn't feel that way, you'd be happier, right? I'm explaining this terribly. I'm getting lost.
if that wasn't a priority to you to get upset over, then overall you would be happier because you wouldn't be upset.
Like, yeah. So, I guess it's like having that principle in you is something that's coming from what you grew up with and what you learned. Yeah. And what you learned growing up forms your identity, and it forms your set of principles. So I guess what I'm getting at is, as an adult, making the choice to let go of what made your identity and forming a new identity based on what you actually care about, you know?
Yeah. Rather than what you
Yeah.
were raised to think is important.
It's not finding the right words for it. I feel like I need to write a fucking essay and like, get it out there, but I'm hoping I'm getting in the right fucking direction. Jim Carrey was also a big denier of free will in the exact same way that Conrad does. He was like, there is no free will, you know, it's just chemicals in your body telling you to do whatever, and I'm just like, yeah, I get it. The gut's the second brain, what the fuck ever. And he goes,
That's the second brain.
and he's like, oh, I can pick up this drink and drink it right now, but I'm doing that because I'm thirsty, and you blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, gosh, you know, get whatever, free will, get it, eat my ass. You boys and your fucking free will arguments, I don't give a shit. But very interesting character. Definitely worth the fucking watch if you want to go into an existential fucking quandary.
Fucking rip.
Hell yeah. Knocked him off the fucking mountain. And then maybe you'll form your own opinion of what the fuck Victor's talking about and put it in some sort of context that makes sense. Maybe Conrad could take it and phrase it. Conrad's good at taking what I say and phrasing it in a better way, but then also, like, going on about a point that wasn't my point. Ah, shit, it's all wet. I can't climb the tower. Damn.
Ooh, this one's
I gotta wait for the
tough
rain
boy.
to stop. Yeah, he's all covered in thorns. This was another one where I kind of skipped the path to the tower the first time. When it's like, there's definitely like a cool path with all those enemies to fight. I skipped a lot of enemies, but it's a cool path up here. Maybe I'll go back and go to that other side of the mountain. Fuck, man. Identity's dumb.
I think that these two guys are just hanging out.
Yeah, true.
They're just looking at each other, doing nothing.
People be getting hella fixated on their identities, man. Don't understand.
Victor
identity
is a boy without
politics.
identity.
I am a boy without identity. I am identified by love. Loving that hope. But yeah. And I've never been a guy with clear goals in life. So it probably doesn't help. But I did,
don't
you know, I had
about
some self-reflection on the fact, like, I constantly go back and forth between, like, how I feel I should be moving in life, because there's definitely, you know, my rooted pride, you know, if I don't let go of my pride, what my pride would want me to do is be the best fucking cinematographer and do Hollywood movies and all this shit. Like, that seems... People ask me all the time, you know, what's my goal? And I'm always very confused in how I should answer that. Because I don't have, like, the super easy to define goal that people tend to have, you know? People be like, oh, I'm a cinematographer, you know?
Yeah.
Like, what matters to me most is that the two of us can live happily with, like, income, you know? And, like, to enjoy life. And for some reason, especially when you're in the arts, people make that out like it's fucking cancer or something.
Betrayal.
Like, you have to be the ultimate fucking artist. And it's like, my pride wants me to be the greatest artist and to be the best boy and fucking and talk that way and act that way. But at the end of the day, I've gotta always reel it back, and this reminded me especially because I was thinking that way lately because I get so obsessed in this fucking tech struggle and like what I need to be doing, what direction I need to be moving in. But really, all that matters to me at the end of the day is that we're living happily, you know, and whatever means I need to get there is you know, that's the path I walk, is what can get us to a place where we could live perfectly together. It doesn't matter if I'm making big movies. Everyone fucking... I hate that everyone, when you tell them you're doing film stuff, they always go, hey, you're gonna be next Spielberg. And it's like, why do I have to aspire to that? Why does that have to be everyone's expectation of me, you know?
Yeah.
It's always like, oh, you won this film contest. Oh, when are you gonna be making a movie? It's like, why does that have to be what I want to do? Like, I just want to live a fucking comfortable life, you know?
Yeah.
And make something that's fulfilling to me, myself. Like, I don't think that... I do want to make a piece of art that makes me proud, you know? But I don't think it's healthy to aspire to that solely, because I don't think you can ever really be satisfied making art. Like,
right.
You'll never be like, oh, I'm done. I made my masterpiece.
Done.
Look at Jim Carrey, you know? He is probably still not satisfied with the amount of work he's put out. He probably still doesn't feel like he's done his masterpiece, even though he's fucking made millions. Like, I'm never gonna feel like I made the end-all fucking artistic project. So, like, all that really matters is that I am able to live comfortably and give it my best shot, you know? And that I'm happy at the end of the day.
Yeah. I can agree to that. It's, you know, it doesn't have to be some big fucking grandiose thing.
Yeah.
The goal is really just to be able to enjoy the people in your life.
Oh shit! Fuck
oh,
no!
God,
Oh!
What is this, Skyrim?
Cool. I got fucking Shreks.
Yeah, that was nice.
It's pretty good.
But it's you know, to enjoy the people that you're with, and to be able to have, you know, experiences you can enjoy.
Yeah, that's what we're striving for. So people ask me my goal, and I'm just like, I don't know. Like, I just want to make videos, you know? This is just what I do. And, like, there's the part of me that's an artist that wants to be the greatest and make the best masterpiece, but that I can let go of that, you know? I can reel that back and be like, that doesn't matter. I'm not gonna upset myself over it.
Right. Yeah.
And obsess over it and fucking torture myself to make the greatest fucking masterpiece ever, because at the end of the day, that doesn't matter. You gotta put yourself aside, man. Act in the interests that are best for everybody.
Utilitarianism.
Utilitarianism, yes. Strange utilitarianism.
I think we've talked about how you know, you don't need to aspire to be the best
we talked
at
about this
something.
stuff quite a bit. I think we're just using Jim Carrey to get back into shit I've already talked about a bunch. It's a treacherous tower, man.
A treacherous tower indeed.
I never found a shirt. Still got the stupid Nintendo Switch shirt on.
Yeah, that's...
Oh, I could have bought armor in the village, but I'm broke because I haven't been digging around enough.
Just like in real life.
True. Do-do-do. Do-do-do-do. Because I prioritize sitting around with my girlfriend all the time and not constantly filming things.
Gay.
Yay! Yay! Gaming! How far are we in this? I'm sure this episode's been double long because I take forever to say anything.
No, it's been 27
27 minutes? Are you saying that we could probably end this episode and do another episode because we have another topic?
We have another topic?
Do we have one more topic? I don't remember what the
They're
topic
not
was.
supposed to know that.
We have... Oh my god! Never mind! We don't have any topics. We're out of ideas.
Oh no!
Everyone commented about how Victor doesn't make any fucking sense at all. Jesus Christ. Look at this, man. We got to the top of the tower.
The tall
We're gonna
tower.
get the map. We're gonna get the fucking map. Bling!
Oh, shit.
Fucking dope. Very clean.
Very clean.
Cool. Look at that. Now we can see all this stuff that's here.
That's regional as fuck.
Regional as fuck. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, now I can press amiibos to the guy.
Amiibo.
We should use an amiibo.
Can you use any
I
amiibo?
can go down there and fuck up some dudes. No, you can only use Zelda ones.
Gay.
Let's see, I can go to the town. Okay, you gotta go down that way to get to the town. Or you can go down that way to get to the town. That'd be a cool way to go. 'Cause there's like ruins and stuff down there. There's a couple different linear paths you can go down. And this one goes through the mountains. That's a really cool path. Really cool path. But I think I prefer that as a path to get back here from a different place. That's also cool. I'm not sure. I do feel like going through here and getting the thing is like the best way to start the game. Eat shit! I am a poop master. Next time on Diddy Bros. We're getting out of here. Oh, I'm sorry. Next time on Scoops in the Con. FM 420. Me so horny. Me love you long time. Bow, 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 bow. Damn, that's good shit.